Hey, and welcome to the Relearn Health Podcast with Doctor's Learner. I'm Dr. Ben Lerner here with my
I'm Dr. Eric Lerner.
great. How often with Eric Lerner, based, and of course we're doing a play on this name here of Learn. How often do people screw up both names? Because you're ERIK and LEER, no A Learner. How often do they get them both wrong?
Well, it's not often that people have to write both down, so they usually go one or the other and get it wrong. So,
yes, because my email is, Dr. Ben Lerner at Gmail, and they always, people like, I sent you an email. I'm like, take out the A. Oh, okay. Sorry. So getting into this is a great topic. Today, we're really kicking off this podcast here with what is health? So if we have to relearn health, we have to really understand what it is. One of our mentors, Dr. Ian Grossum, who's went to be with the Lord many years ago, said most people don't know what health even is. So how could they possibly create it? And this idea of relearn, Alvin Toffler, who's this futurist and this American writer, wrote this quote that he said, "The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn." So we have to relearn as well as unlearn what health really is. So, Dr. Eric, why don't you kind of kick us off here?
yeah, so we've really been taught through generations. Like, so your parents taught you, and their parents taught them, and their parents taught them, right? So through generations, what we've been taught is that the way you look at health is basically if you feel good, right? You don't have symptoms going on, and symptoms aren't just pain or headaches or stomach issues, something like that, but even like test results. If your blood pressure numbers are, match what are considered normal, or if your cholesterol numbers are normal, then really we've always been taught then that's good. You're fine. You feel good. Your numbers all match up. Then you've got nothing to worry about. The problem there, and because all that sounds logical, but the problem comes in if you look at it from the other side. If you look at it from the study of pathology or the study of disease, it there's a big issue. So our family, Dr. Ben and myself, we learned this in the harshest of ways, in that our dad, who was basically our age, right? So right around between me and my brother Ben's age, he goes to a doctor. They check his blood pressure, looks good. They do his cholesterol, the numbers look fine. He has a full physical, gets given a clear bill of health, and about a month later, just out in the front yard, drops to the ground, and they said he was probably gone before he hit the ground. And so our dad had a massive heart attack. And so when you look at that, a situation like that, my dad didn't go from 100% healthy because all of his numbers were good and he felt fine and everything else, to 100% dead. There was some serious issues going on inside his body, regardless of what he was feeling. And really, in the end, if you look at it, my dad, the reason his cholesterol numbers were normal was because he was taking cholesterol drugs. The reason why his blood pressure was normal was because he was taking blood pressure medication. So because we've been taught that feeling good and having normal test results means that we're healthy, the approach then is to do whatever we need to do, chemically or otherwise, to make those numbers look good and make ourselves feel good, without ever really addressing what's actually going on inside the body.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that, because they said, "Oh, your cholesterol and your blood pressure are good. It's going great," and obviously that was drug induced. And something you've actually said, to quote the famous Dr. Eric Lerner, once you take the drugs to lower your cholesterol and your blood pressure, it's now simply a race. What's going to kill you first? Whatever is actually causing you to be sick, or the drugs. And so you're not healthy because you've got yourself in a state of normal blood pressure and normal cholesterol. Certainly, if you got there by inducing it chemically, you've got to address causes, which we'll get into in a minute. In fact, another quote, I seem to be full of quotes today, but Dr. Reggie Gold has this quote that if we're using how we're feeling as a measurement of how healthy we are, then healthy people have a nasty habit of dropping dead, because you feel great while cancer's developing. You feel perfectly fine while heart disease is developing. You don't feel anything while your discs are degenerating. You don't feel anything while your TMJ is wearing out. You don't feel anything while you're developing Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. Everything's going along just fine, but obviously you're going downhill fast. In fact, my metaphor for that is if you jump off the roof of a 20-story building, as you go down and pass each window, you're saying, hey, going great so far, because it's fine all the way down until the unfortunate part at the end. And that's where healthcare generally begins for people, is they wait until the unfortunate part at the end. But sadly, that's the end. It ends in splat, or at the very least, we're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, so we in getting our doctorate in chiropractic, we studied the same pathology books that your medical doctors would study in their schools. Is that Guyton's or pathology? Was that was physiology? I don't remember the name of the pathology book. But at any rate, when you look at pathology, or the study of disease, and they talk about a disease process, so you don't go from 100% well to 100% dead. There's a process that happens to get you to that point. And when I was in school, the book that we studied put pathology, or the disease process, into seven different stages. I've talked to other people who said that the textbook they used in medical school talked about 3 phases. So whether it's 3 or 7, one thing that both models have in common is that the symptom, whether it's how you feel or the test result, again, the test result counts the same as the symptom. The symptom is in the last phase, right? So it's either in phase 3 or phase 7, depending on whether you're using a 3-phase model or 7-phase model. So the last thing that occurs is you feeling something going on, or a test result showing up poorly.
Yeah, I think along those same lines, if you could think of the disease or the symptom as an end stage phenomena, that the last thing you're dealing with is the symptom or the disease. What precedes that is all the bad function, bad lifestyle, things that are breaking down. So if you're addressing it at that point, you don't end up with the disease in the first place. Now, obviously, death still gets 1 out of 1. That's still the numbers on death. Eventually, if you live long enough, you're going to die. But we're trying to put that off as long as we possibly can by managing what truly is health today. So let's talk about like what health really is, and then spend some time on how you address that and build that. Because the idea is we're building health so we don't end up fighting disease. And that's a very different way of looking at your life. So when we talk about what health actually is, there's a number of ways to describe it, but it really has nothing to do with how you're feeling. Now, obviously, if you're healthy, you should feel really great. Like, even though I am older than my dad was when he died, I'm in my mid 90s right now. But I feel great. Like, I don't have anything really bothering me. You get, something sore or whatever, and, I have some symptoms of something every 4 or 5 years. So if you're functioning well, you don't really have a lot of problems, and you should feel really great. But that's not how you measure it. You and I both will get blood tests done. We'll have x-rays of our spine and nervous system. We're eating well and taking care of ourselves. We're looking at some other way to measure how healthy we are. So what are some of the kind of the definitions of health, so people can really walk away from this podcast and know this is how in the future, I will define my health?
I think you used the main word a moment ago, but the real definition of health is when your body and mind are functioning normally, right? So the word function instead of feeling. You had talked about lifestyle. Lifestyle is something that could play a role in creating poor function, right? Leading to problems there. But the bottom line is that if your body is functioning, if your heart's functioning the way it's supposed to, your immune system is 100% functioning the way it can. It's strong. Your digestive system, everything, reproductive system, your body's working the way it was designed to work at full capacity. That is the best you can do, right? So you also said 1 and 1 dies. Yes, it's just, how are we going to get everything out of our life that we can in terms of how we do day to day, and also however many years we can get, that really all comes down to how well is the body functioning. And so if we know that, this is what would be considered a big idea, right? So if you understand a big idea, okay, function is the key here. I want my body to function as best it can. Now, every decision you make when it comes to your health and your health care, you now know, okay, is what I'm doing, is this decision going to help my body function better or worse? You also said something earlier about the race to whether it's the damage inside the body or the drugs that would kill you. When it comes to medication, medications are, sometimes they're necessary to keep you alive, to continue to work on your function, right? But medications are never good for you because they're chemicals, right? So the idea of, hey, if I take this Tylenol, is that going to help my body function better or worse? The answer is worse, right? It might take down a fever or take away a pain, but it's a chemical, it's a toxin, so that's making your body function worse. And so again, that's the key, is understand health is when your body's functioning normally, and now we can get into some things that would help create better function or worse.
Yeah, like I don't like when people try to paint me with the brush of, oh, you're anti-drug or anti-injection or whatever they're saying I'm anti. Like I'm pro optimizing the way my body functions. I'm pro health. And so I know that anytime I put a chemical of any kind in it, particularly if I am using a medication, which by definition, those are the harshest chemicals. The purpose of a medication is to very specifically manipulate your body, which is the definition of a harsh chemical. That's the thing I'm trying to avoid the most are those medications. Again, there are a time and place for everything, and there are points where you do get to an end part of your life and you're fighting something, and the drugs can be helpful, but I'm doing the best I can to be healthy and stay off them. I'm not anti something. I'm pro maximizing how well my body functions. And to kind of put it to work, how does this look like in somebody's life? We speaking of just being pro or anti something, I had a baby come in the other day. So this baby was diagnosed with COVID, which I like. Why are you testing a baby for COVID? I don't know why, but they said, yeah, our baby has COVID. Can we bring him in? I'm not afraid of viruses because I'm optimizing my body's function. I will see people who say they have the flu or whatever they believe they have. So the baby comes in. So the good thing is this mom is one of our patients. So she knows our job is to minimize the use of medications and to build health, to build function. So in this baby, pretty new baby, about 4 months old, we want to make sure we're doing everything we can to optimize the immune system and keep strengthening it. So she knows that once the baby has gone through the process of being sick and expelling the virus, this baby's immune system just built muscle. Like it just got stronger. So if that immune system can only bench 100 pounds when it started with the virus, by the time it's expelled the virus on its own, that immune system now benches 225. It bit the 4 wagon wheels now that this immune system's been through this condition. So she got the baby adjusted. We discussed some other natural things just to support the body's immune system as the baby got stronger and moved through it. And right away, within 24 hours, the virus was expelled. The baby's now stronger. And we did something to develop that child's body to build function, to optimize function. And that baby's now stronger moving forward. If you look at the opposite of that would have been, let's load the baby up. Antibiotics, which do nothing against viruses anyways. All kinds of other drugs and things we could have put in this baby, things to shut the coughing down because the baby was coughing a lot. Things to shut the fever down because it had a mild fever. All these drugs, and we squashed the function of the immune system. We would not have built health or made that immune system stronger. In fact, we would have weakened the immune system and weakened that child's body and minimized function, which is the opposite of health and building health.
Yeah, so a lot of people they know to some degree that things that they eat right affect health, right? So nutrition is funny. Some people listening to this might find this hard to believe, but if you go back 30 years ago when you and I were kind of new in practice, nutrition, as far as like something related to function and health, wasn't all that well known and not 100% accepted yet. It was getting there, but not as much as you would think now. But people now seem to understand that nutrition is important, exercise is important. And again, the reason why nutrition and exercise are important is that they help strengthen the body and, bring you closer to, or give your body a chance to have better function, right? Which is health. What I think a lot of people still miss, and it's the point to that you were just making with this baby, is you talk about it, adjusting the baby, chiropractic care. Well, that gets back to, as far as like what role does chiropractic play in function and health? That gets back to the nervous system. So I think a lot of people think of chiropractic and getting adjusted as just being like a treatment for pain, where it's actually not that at all. Chiropractic is about improving function and allowing the body to heal so that you're no longer in pain, or no longer your immune system is stronger to fight COVID